The Mystery School of Apollo Invictus, presented by me, Gaius Florius Aetius, Pontifex Sacerdos et Areolus Apollon. Introduction. We know from the sources that the people in ancient Greece and Rome, and likely the entire classic world, knew so-called mystery schools or cults, like the famous Cult of Eleusis, the Cult of Isis, and many others. Unfortunately, their essence was lost in the turbulence of time. What we can say with some likelihood from the writings of Plutarch or Cicero, for example, that being a member in such a school or cultus was not a rare thing, but at least in those days a widespread phenomenon. I prefer to call it a mystery school, first to differ it from the official cultus of the regular form of religion like the Roman Polytheism, which is also called CULTUS DEOROM. Second, also to emphasize the idea that it is about learning something first. And in our mystery school, we highlight the development of the soul, of the individual, over rituals and performances. The Apollo Invictus Mystery School is not a religion, nor supposed to be in competition with any religion or spiritual system, but merely to offer another perspective on the gods. Our foundation is the Roman Polytheist religion, though it is by all means not mandatory that you follow the Roman religion. Though our mystery school plans in the future to also conceptualize rituals and eventual initiations, as experience has shown, such ritualistic experience can have a benevolent transforming effect on people, we foremost spread an idea, a perspective, both on the divine gods as well as the spiritual development for people interested in spirituality. The goal of this writing is to present the teaching of our mystery school in a brief and compact overview as to give people the opportunity to know us better. Let me again emphasize this is not a competition to the Roman religion. Each person is free to accept also just those teachings he or she wishes, and while we believe these teachings to form an organic whole and wish to present them as such, it is the main goal to inspire people on their path. Cosmology. In the core of the Apollo Invictus Mystery School lies the teaching of the 12 Olympian gods whom we regard as creators of the cosmos. They may be called the Deconsentes or Dodekateon or the 12 gods. Among them, Jupiter, whom the Greeks called Zeus, is the Logos or creator of all things, the father of all, and the guiding king of fates, the All-Father or Sky Father. But he did not create the cosmos alone, but in the beginning shared his powers of creation with the other 11. So all the 12 are creators of the cosmos, and hence comes the diversity and manyhood of creation. The Dodekateon or 12 gods are the core of creation and the universal gods, but over time, from them other gods also came forth or rose to divinity, who from the manyhood of all the gods that we know in the world. And each has the role and place in the cosmic order, though it all flows from and comes back to the 12. The 12 has always been, always exist, since their existence is beyond time. Canonically, these are the 12 of the Dodekateon, which we sorted into 4 triads, wherein each god represents one spiritual virtue. first is the Capitoline Triad, consisting of Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva. The Capitoline Triad is the classical triad of Rome. They had the great temple on the Capitoline hill, and they represent the great guiding forces of the cosmos. They are highly associated with the state and all forms of human organization. Jupiter is the Logos and the king of the gods, the righteous judge, the weaver of all fates and the origin behind all things, similar to the teachings of Plato. As the heavenly judge and king, he stands for the virtue of justice. Juno is his wife. She is the queen of the heavens, guardian of piety and oaths, the guardian of family and marriage, and protector of the virtues and the innocent. Above all, she is the herald of the virtue of piety, and protects all those who are lawful and respect religious duty. Third of the Capitoline Triad is Minerva, the Roman Athene, and she is both a goddess of wisdom, but also a warrior goddess of strategy and intelligent fighting, also a patron of arts and a fierce protector of justice. As you can see, the Capitoline Triad stands for a more general selection of high values and ideas which guide all the people. Minerva is the guardian goddess of wisdom. The second triad is the Triad of Enlightenment, and it contains Apollo, Diana, and Mercurius. This is the second triad, and it represents the three forces within the soul of all sentient beings, and together they guide humans towards enlightenment. Apollo is the god of light and prophecy, of all arts of healing and justice. Only he, as the god of prophecy, knows the entirety of the will of Jupiter the Logos, and thus for us is the god of the highest importance, for his light delivers us to understand the cosmic will of the Logos Jupiter, and only through Apollo, our Lord of Light, can we come to a complete and balanced understanding of ourselves, and thus let our soul rise back to the divine realm from where every soul came. Within the human mind, Apollo thus represents the aspect of the spirit, and above all his virtue is honesty. Second of the Triad of Enlightenment is Diana, the twin sister of Apollo. She is the moon goddess like Apollo, the god of the sun. But she is also the virgin maiden, the goddess of hunt, the protectress of childbirth and little children, and the herald of independence and freedom. Diana represents the aspect of intuition in the human mind, and her virtue as the Virgin Maiden is teaching us devotion, the ability to put oneself under a higher cause or calling. Third of the Triad of Enlightenment is Mercurius, or Mercury, the divine messenger, the god of knowledge and of magic, the traveler of the worlds, also god of trade and likewise thievery. He stands for the aspects of intellect in the human mind, and his main virtue is thrift, the ability to make the best of one's means in an efficient way without waste or sloth. The third triad is called the Hearth Client. It contains the gods Vesta, Vulcan, and Ceres. First of the Hearth Triad, or Harmony Triad, is Mother Vesta, who guards the sacred flame of the state, particularly Rome, but also each flame of the hearth in each home and every family, and the nation flame of every nation. As such, Vesta stands for the preservation of tradition, the nurturing of the fire in passing on the lore of the past as a way of living, the fire of life itself. Vesta supports people's benevolence and hospitality. Her virtue is confidence, the faith in oneself, in the providence of the divine, and the trust in others. Vulcanus is the god of craftsmen, or metalworker in particular, but he is generally a guardian god of all labor and hard work. He blesses those who work hard and dedicate themselves to their task. Thus, his virtue is discipline, the will to stick to one's task, to improve yourself, and to work together for the greater good. Finally, Earth Mother Ceres is the goddess of earth, of farming and nurture and all the plants which grow, but also generally the idea of natural growth and harmony. She is the nourishing mother and patron and protector of the poor and those of lower standing. She teaches kindness and generosity, and her virtue is frugality, wherein we learn to manage our true needs, but also be generous, and not greedily keep more than we truly need. The fourth and final triad is called the Traveler Triad, and it contains the gods Mars, Venus, and Neptune. Mars is said to be a god of war, but from the Roman perspective, he is more the soldier god, the protector of righteous order, fighting on the side of law and justice. He is also connected to the police and all who uphold just laws. He also represents vitality, manly virtue, the will to fight for what one believes in growth through competition. The Traveler Triad is the triad standing for change and opportunity, and Mars represents opportunity by confrontation, and thus the virtue of valor. Second, Venus, the goddess of love in all aspects and forms, both sexuality and spiritual love, but also the goddess of beauty and harmony, peace and good fortune. As the goddess of love and peace, she is the counterpart of the principles of Mars, and hence her main virtue is compassion. Third of the triad is Neptune, first and foremost known as the god and ruler of the ocean. His divine idea is the most difficult to comprehend. He is sending benevolent rain, but also is said to regulate the rivers and protect the travelers on sea, but also a god associated with horses. As such, he is a god of natural change and organic growth. As a very sincere god and guardian of those who attune with the flow of things, he teaches the virtue of honor, which is the bond of people as well as the safeguard of all who travel the world. Concerning the human soul, the Apollo Invictus Mystery School teaches in accordance with Plato's Phaedrus that all human souls once dwelled among the heaven, with the gods, each soul in the divine company of one god or goddess, which is most attuned to the character of his or her soul. Thus, the main goal of our mystery school is to teach humans how to ascend and return to the divine realm, where to all our souls belong. That is the main task of the teaching of our school, and we seek out the guidance of Apollo, the Lord of Light, as our patron god. In the beginning, when the material plane came into existence, the souls descended in 3 waves, and this differs the nature of people. First descended those who were attracted by curiosity, and their souls are of intellectual and inquisitive nature, the seekers of intelligence and knowledge. Second, those souls who observed what the first souls achieved, and so their desire to prove themselves drove them to delve into matter, and they are people of competition, seeking riches and power to fully manifest their will in the world. Finally, the third souls saw the universal suffering of the souls who had descended, for they gradually began to forget the divine origin, and out of compassion they descended into the world, and through spirituality, art, and humanitarian work, they thought to better the world and remind people of the divine realm and the divine nature of their souls, so that they might ascend and return. And thus differs the nature of every one, depending on why he came here for one of the three waves. But also each soul comes from the company of a different god, and according to that will be his natural inclination, like those from the company of Mars desire to bring order and defend, wanting to become, for instance, soldiers or policemen. Those from the company of Mercury value money or knowledge. Those from the company of Venus may value beauty and love, and so forth with the other gods. One part of ascending is learning your true nature, the true will and direction of your soul, so that the place you find in this world is at harmony with what your soul truly seeks to be. This is learned through meditation and introspection, and it can be helped by seeking out those who are like-minded and can advance your interests. On the other hand, our mystery schools teach us that we are all of divine origin and all come from the heavens, so we are all called to do our best to remind all people around us to meet in life to remember our divine origin, to cast off the shackles of forgetting, how through this divine origin we are all connected as one, belonging together, and overcome the illusions of separation and materialism. This is the spiritual service we owe to every human being, and also to all forms of life, who, while being lesser, all things stem from the 12 gods, and all thus have the spark of the divine within them. From that understanding, our mystery schools teaches benevolence and virtue towards all sentient life and respect to all life. From this we try to understand the true meaning of spirituality and develop our understanding of the spiritual virtues as guiding principles of life, which help us to come together for mutual growth and harmony. As it is said, by knowing thyself, one learns to know the other. Apollo Invictus, the Lord of Light. Our mystery school has chosen Apollo as the patron god of our school, because as the god of prophecy, only he knows the full will of the Sky Father and Logos Jupiter entirely. More than any other god, Apollo is a god of virtue and understanding, and as the light has always represented growth and enlightenment, so we have sought out Apollo as our guardian and patron. Our mystery school will continue to expound on our teachings, formulating it in writings and parables, for all aspects fitting the understanding of each seeker, the true divine nature of our soul, and ways to ascend as souls to return to the divine world from where we all came from. This is the light within all of us, which we seek to understand, to nurture and to live in accordance with it, and help others willing to listen to progress on the path as well. This is supported by expanding our understanding through learning, through spiritual exercise like meditation, through improving both your body as a temporal means to act in the world, as well as becoming a better person through practicing virtue and acting with good deeds as a role model for others. In this, the idea of balance is a central key to understand true wisdom and true spirituality. For only when your soul restores its original balance can the individual ascend, and likewise only when humanity restores its balance together can likewise humanity as a whole ascend. Seeking, understanding, and teaching such ways is our aspiration, while we give ourselves to the guidance of Apollo Invictus, our Lord of Light. Be blessed.